Que no puedes entender que yo ya no quiero ser a la que te acercas solo cuando no estás bien.
Y ya no sé qué más hacer para que me puedas ver.
Sácate por...
Hola, bienvenidos a un episodio más de ℍ𝕚𝕚 Music Sessions. Hoy me siento, como siempre, muy contento de tener a Renee Goust. Siempre hemos tenido muchas charlas muy agradables presentando todo lo que lanza, pero hoy es un día especial porque es la fiesta de la Cyber-Mashaka, un disco con 9 tracks que tuve la oportunidad, ahorita fuera del aire platicábamos que ya lo escuché unas 25 veces desde el día de ayer que se estrenó. Y quiero decir que quedé muy sorprendido con la fusión de géneros, quedé muy sorprendido con el storytelling que se cuenta a través de 9 canciones, muy emocionado por esta fusión que logran Khylie y Renee, la invitación de la Dame Blanche, la presencia de los invitados, las invitadas que tienen es impresionante. Y sobre todo, Renee, yo que digo, antes de arrancar con esta charla, primero muchas gracias, pero además tengo mucho tiempo escuchando tu música, siempre me ha gustado, pero en este disco es un disco en donde te siento libre, porque si bien sí tiene manifiestos, tiene mucho mensaje del cual tú siempre encuentras, pero aquí yo escucho a una Renee feliz, lo cual me dio muchísimo gusto. Welcome Khylie, welcome Renee.
Thanks, señor Ulises, gracias. Sí, es un álbum rebelde, de seguro, transgresor, disruptor. A las personas que de repente les cuesta trabajo los sonidos más rudos. No sé si vaya a ser su favorito, pero también hay fusión. Está la fusión con lo mexicano, está la fusión con géneros electrónicos, que es lo que Khylie viene manejando desde toda su carrera. And I do think I feel more free, more happy, more, I guess, daring. También como que exploring a lot of genre fusions, and that's I think that was one of the main reasons that from the get-go, Khylie and I teamed up. You know, when we had that first conversation, it was like, how about this with this with this, and things that usually don't go together. And it's interesting because en esos últimos meses, Cyber-Mashaka lo hicimos en 18 meses, más o menos, 1 año y medio, más o menos. Y en ese tiempo empezó a salir más música electrónica dentro de lo que llaman electrocorridos o corridos electrónicos, pero no sentimos que sea igual. Sentimos que nuestro trabajo es una fusión profunda, integral. De repente escuchas un beat, ahorita cosas que están sonando, ¿verdad? Beats electrónicos con letras bélicas alteradas, pero lo nuestro es mucho más desde la raíz, las fusiones de los géneros. I don't know if Khylie wants to talk more about those fusions, because Ulises was mentioning that he's heard my music for a long time, but that now he feels like a freer Renee, more happy Renee, more daring Renee, talking about the music genre fusions.
How's the experience for you, Khylie?
Yeah, I mean, collaboration often does that. It forces you into channels that you wouldn't normally explore. And I think that's, one of my favorite things about having made this record with Renee was that we pushed each other to learn things that weren't necessarily comfortable. We pushed each other out of our comfort zones. Maybe that's the way to say it. I came at it with, from my point of view, Renee came at it from theirs, and we sort of met. We created this new middle to meet in, and I think that the history of music is some of the highest points. Some of the most golden moments of the history of music are when a couple people come together like that and push themselves into what becomes a brand new territory.
Khylie, did you hear before all these Mexican music genre before you met Renee?
Well, not Mexican specifically. I do have a history with Afro-Cuban music. I studied with a great bass player named Lincoln Goins, who introduced me to the genre, and then I was lucky enough to play with some amazing artists and bands. One of the most recent ones, I think, was ℍ𝕚𝕡 ℍ𝕚𝖊 𝕽𝖞𝑑, the guitar player of which was Ernesto Lucar, which I think is the connection point between Renee and myself. I was not familiar with Mexican music or norteño or electro corridos or anything like that. And so this collaboration was a real education for me. Renee gave me a ton of stuff to listen to, and we created playlists, and I dove in and immersed myself and learned how to play ℍ𝕚𝕚 and just I really kind of drank it in. It was an amazing experience, and I think it really, my excitement for it, I think, comes out on my part of this record.
Well, that was happening when two great musicians make music together. René, hablemos de Renee Khylie, hablemos del disco. Creo que desde que arranca con la etapa, es un disco que habla de poliamor, que habla de relaciones honestas, que habla de pasarla bien, que habla de la demanda que siempre se exige para dejar ser. Creo que uno de las cosas que más me gustaron de este disco líricamente, digo, no sé si la letra fue también una colaboración entre Khylie y tú, pero cuéntenme acerca de cómo escribieron este libro capítulo a capítulo.
Las letras las escribí yo cuando le presenté el proyecto a Khylie. Le presenté como 16 canciones, de las cuales seleccionó 7 que fueron las que más le gustaron, y poquito a poquito le dije, ay, también esta, ay, ¿qué te parece esta otra? De hecho, La Etapa fue la penúltima canción en decidir entrar al álbum, pero fue la más nueva de las que se habían compuesto, porque algunas las escribí en 2022, otras en 2023 a inicios, algunas incluso creo que en 2021. Y cuando ya Khylie había seleccionado sus 7 canciones favoritas, que a mí por supuesto me gustaban todas, un fin de semana me acuerdo que escribí La Etapa y se la mandé y le dije, dale, no podemos dejarla afuera, o sea, estamos ya en esto. Y creo que le gustó mucho la parte del hook, ¿no? Como que la, 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 la. Me dijo, sí está pegajosa, o sea, no, sí, súper. Y al final metimos la poesía de Yolanda Segura, que me encanta porque es esta parte como preocupona de que las mamás dicen que no vas a ser feliz, y por eso ellas justifican su misma homofobia, transfobia, LGTB-fobia, en que tú no vas a ser feliz y por eso se están preocupando por ti. Pero en realidad toda la canción venimos siendo súper orgullosas, súper felices, súper, sí, queer, ¿sabes? O sea, es un álbum súper queer, es un álbum descarado, me atrevo a decir, porque why not? Like, I feel like, cis men have that privilege of being in your face and like feisty and like egocentric even, which I think is something that La Etapa, some people, in my personal circle that I showed it to, some people were like, oh, it's so like bold and like kind of in that like rap, hip hop, egocentric type of vibe. And I was like, that's so interesting. Like, do you ever feel that way about music made by cis men? And so I feel like a lot of the album is reclaiming our place in a lot of different feelings, because obviously there's also heartbreak songs, there's also memoirs, there's a lot of different narratives in this album, as you were well mentioning, Ulises. And I think definitely polyamory, definitely the free spirit of queer people, but also like a very, almost like combative part, where it's like, we don't have to be shy and in the corner. We do get to take center stage. I don't know if
Let's have some fun, right?
And all that. Oh yeah, hell yeah, a lot of fun.
Actually, bueno, una de mis canciones favoritas, todo el disco me gusta, pero Quiero estar sin ti es una canción que disfruté muchísimo, esta colaboración con Making Movies. Khylie, Renee, who has the idea about the rap stuff and hip hop stuff? Tell me about it.
I think we each brought a little bit of rap and hip hop with us. My history has a lot to do with hip hop. I've played and recorded and co-produced with Public Enemy and Daryl McDaniels from Run DMC and Cool Kim, and I had a project going for a while called The Odyssey with the DJ of Public Enemy. His name's DJ Johnny Juice. So I was definitely steeped in hip hop and rap and feeling kind of the New York beginnings of it when I came into this project. But I gotta say, Renee brought just as much as I did to it. I think that, the bravery that they demonstrated with getting on the mic and and bringing like this new interesting kind of flow to it really, kind of expanded the notion of hip hop and how it exists in the world of music today. And it was just another spice that we threw in this mixture. It was another way to express ourselves and bring our experiences and what we felt of it to this mixture of electronica and norteña and corridos. It's this fabulous mixture that when it comes out in the end, you don't really know what to expect, but it's always interesting and always original.
I think that maybe you create a new genre. It's like it's
I would love to pick that.
I have to add to the notion of like the sort of bravery put forward, and there's a story that's in the moment was very heartbreaking, but now I think is anecdotal, and we knew it would be anecdotal when it was happening. We've worked in this album, as I was saying, for the last 18 months. We started with Fierro. I remember that clearly. That was the first track we started working on, and ended up being
fun.
Right? Okay. The first to start, the last to finish, the last to be mixed, I guess. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But so, obviously records work and I guess develop in sections, and you finish one before the other, etc. And so I had just gone through a breakup, and there were 4 final songs that had not been tracked, the vocals for, and the music was more or less done. We were still working on a few arrangements, obviously mixes and stuff. But I remember having to split my house with my ex a week at a time. So I would be there for a week, and then they would go back into the house for a week, and then so it was terrible. I mean, people who have gone through serious breakups know how bad that can feel for the spirit. And I remember I was about to go on a trip for my grandmother's 93rd birthday, 2 days from then, and I said to Khylie, I have to finish the last 4 vocals before I go, because that gives you time, da-da-da-da-da. So it was my time to use the house, and I think I was flying out that same day at night or something. It was something crazy. And I remember just being like, I have 4 hours. I can cry for the first hour when I enter the house, because it was the first when we came back. And I remember just like entering the house and crying, and Khylie was like, are you okay? I'm like, yes, it's gonna be okay. And Khylie was like, don't worry, if you can't finish the vocals today, we'll just skip the deadline. But I'm a Virgo, like I don't usually skip deadlines. As a matter of fact, it drives me crazy to like postpone things. And so I was like, no, I have to do it. And I just went, and as soon as I entered the studio, I remember connecting with like my higher self. I have a friend who always jokes, and he goes, are you an artist? Like in difficult times, when trying times, he like looks at you in the eye and he's like, are you an artist? Like, can you do this? Are you an artist? I just remember feeling that spirit and jumping into the recording booth and tracking some of the most fierce songs in the album. Some of them were flirty, some of them were sad, some of them were feisty, some of them were like, and I just like, when I sang them, I almost feel like I transmuted that emotion of being brokenhearted into other feelings, And I think that that's the power of music. It's one of the biggest lessons. I think in my past, it would have been a lot easier for me to just say like, I can't do it, I need 2 weeks off. But the love of a project can really push you forward and move you forward from a difficult time. And so I think that that's part of what's really special to me about some of the sort of wackiest songs in this album, is that they were truly, recorded in a time where, my life was not at that point, but I was able to channel the energy of the time of the songwriting, so to speak.
I know that you feel proud of all of these songs, but Do you have, Khylie, Renee, a favorite song in this record? Come on.
I do. Yeah. Ya tienes mi número is, I think, it makes me smile every time I hear it. And that's coming from somebody who listened to it 10,000 times in order to mix it and finish it. And it just makes me smile. I just think it's flirty and cute. We just dropped the video on Friday, which is also flirty and cute. But it's and I don't want to take anything away from the seriousness of the record, because we make many important statements, socio-political and in defense of queer rights and anti-violence. But I think that the trick of music is to lure you in, with gorgeous pop melodies and like a siren song, and bring you to a place so that we can ensorcel you and dazzle you and grab your attention and explain how we feel. And I love that Numero has that ability to bring you in from a pop standpoint, and then place you in our world so that we can tell you how we feel and explain at length the injustice that we end up living through, people like us in the queer community, and people of color and women. So yeah, it's important. It's like our record's a little Trojan horse, I guess.
I have to say, I also have favorites, but I think it depends on what mood I'm in. Like, I really love Playa's storytelling.
Playa, it's like a novel, It's like a Mexican telenovela. It's like the storytelling. It was, actually, it's so erotic lyrics, It's like, I want to be there, It's like, okay, sorry.
Oh yeah, a lot of people have written telling me like, oh my god, this song turns me on. Like, yeah, because it is kind of like a short erotic novel, so to speak. And I also love Fierro. Fierro is one of my favorites, just because it lets me, especially when we do it live. We've done it live a couple times. We're going to be doing it live in Álamos, Sonora, for the ℍ𝕚𝖡 Festival on the 30th of January. We're going to be, we played it also at Lincoln Center for Ruidosa Festival. And something about doing that song live is just like wilding out, wilding out. But also, you were mentioning Quiero Estar Sin Ti earlier. And that was based off of the Juan Gabriel, Rocío Dúrcal sort of interactions of like the couple having a fight. And so I think every song has a special place for sure, the more come out, such as Soy La Que. I mean, the ending of Soy La Que, I remember just when I was with Khylie, we were together working on that beat at the end, and I think we were in Guadalajara. Some stuff. And I think some of the sounds that I wanted also were a lot more hardcore, and Khylie, we were trying to meet in the middle, but for some things we were making concessions on what their stylistic thing is and what mine was. And remember, for the ending of Soy La Que, I was like, what if we just, and then like totally crank on it at the end. And that's something that we normally hadn't really done before, for the record or otherwise. And I think that's the part of the magic, and it just slaps you in the face unexpectedly. And I think every song has a sprinkle of something that you don't see coming in the next bar. So I don't know, I think that's what makes the album so special.
Actually, in Quiero Estar Sin Ti video, I really enjoy when you have this fight with making movies, and suddenly the camera movement and this Kylo with all of these guys, and it's like, what? I really enjoyed the video. It's like, I think that es un disco, es un libro de muchos capítulos que podrán verse inconexos, pero cuando lo escuchas de principio a fin, se siente un libro completo. Es Khylie, es Renee, I think I really enjoyed this record.
Esto es Renee Goust con mi compita ℍ𝕚𝕡 ℍ𝕚𝕚 ℍ𝕚𝕚 Pa' que se cuide, mijo. Dividir es mi poder y yo nací bien poderosa.
Ok, René, hablando de Quiero estar sin ti, a mí me gustaría, esta como te digo es una de mis favoritas, todas son mis favoritas, pero ¿cuál sería la canción que Khylie y René piensan que representa más la fusión de sus mundos musicales? I mean, which song do you think best represents the fusion of your musical worlds?
That's a hard question.
Yeah, seriously. I wonder if any one of them really.
For me, it's ℍ𝕚𝖡.
Ah,
That's interesting. Tell us more.
Well, it's just when I hear ℍ𝕚𝖡, it's like the perfect mix and fusion about bases, EDM, and the spirit of Renee in lyrics, in interpretation. For me, it's that song, but exists one for you.
I love La Tapa,
yeah.
but I feel like so all of this, I'm gonna dare speak for both of us. I think all of this is so new to both of us. As far as the fusion, the resulting sound that the fusion creates, if that makes any sense. I know this is Kylie's first time doing Mexican music. This is my first time releasing something electro fusion. So, it's so hard to say because if I go back into my discography, it sounds nothing like any of these, if that makes any sense. I don't know if that's...
Yeah, I think that I think the question we have no choice but to sort of sidestep the question a little bit because it's the record that represents the fusion. The entirety of it, all 9 songs together, are such a journey. It's such such an odyssey that we embarked on, and I think that I think it would be it'd be impossible to say that any one of them is like the epitome of the fusion. I think what this needed was like it needed 9 songs to say everything that the fusion represents.
Actually, one thing that I love this album is it's a message I love from this album is that tackles social issues from a perspective of fun, not victimhood. That's the message that is most important for me with this album. Tell me more.
I'm really glad you said that. I mean, as I was saying before, it's our job to kind of bring you in and speak our truth to you. But the spoonful of sugar that makes the medicine go down that's part of the art right there. It can be vital and outrageous and full of anger and still be gorgeous and beautiful and have craftsmanship. And I appreciate you saying that because I think that the message that we put out with this record is so very important to us. But it was also important to us not to sound preachy or nagging.
Well, I think that it's just that the affect ones not feel ashamed. It's the resorts who should feel shame, right? It's like, come on, let's change that. And I think that eso es...
Perdóname, Juli, que te interrumpa. Es que es algo de alegría, ¿sabes? Como que llevamos toda décadas y décadas y décadas de discurso de esto, del dolor, que es un dolor muy válido, muy real, pero que también ya estamos en un punto de la historia de nuestras vidas, de nuestros devenires, en el que el orgullo con el que nos vivimos a diario también toca plasmarlo, ¿sabes? Somos personas igual que todas las personas, ¿sabes? Aunque tenemos estas identidades, estas orientaciones, por eso para nosotros fue importante hacer canciones como las que te decía, Fierro, por ejemplo, que es como que estás brincando en una peda, la neta, o sea, es como, ¿sabes? Las personas queer también obviamente salimos de fiesta. Las personas queer también existimos en el norte. Las personas, ¿sabes? Hay todo este mensaje. Por eso quisimos meter Sprinkle It In en todos lados. Quiero estar sin ti, aunque como bien decías, habla de estas relaciones de pareja tipo, ¿no? Juanga, Rocío Dúrcal. Empieza con acordeón. Después pasa por fusión, electro, pum, pum, tienes el kick. O sea, toda la música del álbum es Khylie y yo juntas, siendo queer, siendo cada quien de donde es, representando de donde venimos, ¿sabes? O sea, creo que no, ninguna canción se salva de eso, ¿no? Porque al final son nuestras creaciones. Y yo creo que es algo de normalizar nuestras identidades. You know, like queer people get heartbroken, queer people party, queer people do all the things that non-queer people do. Entonces yo creo que por eso este álbum está chido, es peleonero, es alegre, es triste en momentos, es flirty, es gritón, es todas las cosas, es grosero. Mi mamá me dijo, tal vez no deberías de decir groserías. Y yo, mami, we'll talk later. Pero
Yeah. Cuando lanzan este disco, digo, para empezar, you make a borderless sound, you know? It's like the fusion of Mexico and New York with Kylie, but finally, that's the way of, or the matter of music, right? It's like create whatever you wanna create. It's like there's no boundaries, you know? It's like, okay, let's have some fun, and Cyber-Mashaka, it's that. It's have some fun. I think that it's maybe one of the best records that happens in this early 2025, you know, for me. It's like,
Muchas gracias. And there's another step to it. There, after we put it out into the world and give it to listeners, it takes on another life after that. It was whatever we wanted to make of it, and then it becomes whatever the listener wants to hear in it. And so it ends up taking on not just another life, but as many other lives as there are people listening to it and experiencing it and feeling something from it. And I think that's one of the most exciting things about that music, that art can be a virus in a positive way that slips out and mutates and becomes something different inside everybody's body and soul. And I'm so excited to see what happens to as it lives its life now.
I also have to say right now, Uli, when you said Cyber-Mashaka, I was like, the title says it all. Like the title, I don't think, I mean, I could be wrong, but my perception, I don't think that you hear Cyber-Mashaka or Cyber-Mashaka and that you think,
what?
Like seriousness, or, you know what I mean? Like, or, because it's so playful. We had a list of like 20, 30 titles when we were nearing that part of the process. What are we going to call this? Like, and we had so many options, I guess. And Cyber-Mashaka was just so, I don't know, we kept coming back to it, as the list got shorter and shorter and shorter. It really felt like that unlikely fusion of elements that somehow ends up working, and I think obviously with a lot of love and with a lot of craft and with a lot of honesty, it ends up working. You can't fake fusions like that. You can't force fusions like that. You have to really just be those sounds, have that cultural baggage, and then come together, and that's, come together as two individuals. And the other people who collaborated on the album. I mean, like for Que Se Cuide Ese Muchacho with La Dame Blanche, her rap is...
That's strong lyrics, it's like...
Yeah, she hammers that home. I mean, she takes no prisoners, and that's we as soon as we heard the stuff that they sent over, we were like, oh yeah, this is exactly what this song needed. This one in the
needs to be, needs to exist. That kind of lyric,
Definitely.
Yeah.
And also, the fact that she's Cuban, and so the way that it grows in other places with like making movies, they're from Panama, but are very familiar with the Juanga heritage. I remember, here's a funny story. I remember playing for Kylie and their partner Cora, el video de Te pido por favor. ¿Sabes, no? Right? And so it's something that pretty sure, Uli, you and I grew up with, but it's so special because that's something that I'm proud of. If not, we wouldn't be, like, you don't bring that onto an album or that kind of energy onto an album if it's not something that's deeply rooted. However, when you grow up in a culture that's so, I guess, a little more, I don't know, like where most people are the same, if that's worth saying, like as far as what they listen to, what, like Nogales, Sonora, where I come from, like, you know, everybody knows Juanga and Nogales, Sonora. Pero then you move to New York and you meet a lot of people who have all these different, you know, heritages. And to be showing Juanga for the first time to someone is an experience that's very like surreal, you know, and their reactions. I remember obviously watching the video, but like from the corner of my eye, wanting to see like the faces of Khylie and Cora, to see the reactions, because it's so telenovela. Like in Mexico and in Latin America, we're so used to the telenovela drama, and for us it's very like, of course, you know, this is how people present a couple who's not understanding, you know. And
We're so dramatic, you know. It's like I really enjoy drama.
for Enrique making movies, you know, when we brought forward this idea, he was like, I love it. Like, love it. He was like, what? Like, and they also brought on with Juan Carlos Shauran, who's the percussionist of making movies, the congas, the bongos, the guira. So there was so much for that song to becoming sort of more Central American and Caribbean too, with the arrangements. I don't know. I'm just so excited about the record. I don't know if you want to say anything about that, Khylie.
Did you see the Juan Gabriel concert in Palacio de Bellas Artes?
I think Renee showed that to me. That was the one you showed me it on YouTube, right? Is that right?
The big concert where Juan Gabriel performs in a venue that was usually not for like popular artists,
Mm-hmm.
more for like classical music, and he played there for the first time.
Blew me away.
And yeah, Juan Gabriel was a tremendous artist. Renee Khylie, is this the beginning of many records, or what's your plan? Because you made one great record, but it's the first one of many, or what you plan?
This was the beginning of a lifelong friendship and collaboration. I think that, you know, we knew each other fairly well before this. We know each other intimately now. We have over the last year and a half, we have shared so much comes out in the process of making this music and speaking our truths and collaborating and negotiating. And there's no doubt in my mind that we'll know each other for the rest of our lives and make music together in one form or another for the rest of our lives. It would be silly to have come this far and stop now.
Renee?
I can't agree more. You know, Khylie and I liked Khylie because of where they came from in my connection of friends, and from very, very dear, loving friends, ℍ𝕚𝕚 of Peru and Jeannie, who was ℍ𝕚𝕚's wife, but a great engineer, audio engineer, and
Producer.
Producer, Grammy nominated, by the way. And like, so there, you know, when you know people through such loving people, you know that you're in front of a good person, if that makes any sense. And we also, the first time we collaborated was in a film called ℍ𝕚𝕚, which is a documentary of the lives of trans women in Mexico, specifically 3 trans women in Mexico. And Khylie played up bass for that, upright bass. And ever since then, we sort of kept in touch, you know, jumped on stage a few times, and then eventually started working on this record. And through the last year and a half, we really have shared the ups and downs, you know, as I was saying, my breakup, conversations about our mental health, you know, things having to do with family's health, like, you know, stuff that's very deep and very personal, all the while creating beautiful art, and also going through the fun parts and the less fun parts, you know, like what it costs to make that art financially, you know, negotiating, you know, what's going to go where, the order of songs, just every single thing, you know, and it builds a really intimate relationship. We have had conversations about maybe doing covers in the future, and life is long and vast, and I'm sure, as Khylie said, that we'll continue to be friends and for sure make more music together. I mean, nothing would make me happier.
Okay. Tell Champion about your tour plans.
You know, these things, they come and go. When there's an interesting show, when there's somebody who wants the sound. We both play our own music on our own, but then as Renee said, on the 30th, we're going to come. In fact, I leave on Sunday to meet Renee in Mexico City. We're going to rehearse the new band for a few days, fly up to Sonora, play this thing. There are certain shows there's certain shows in venues and festivals that are just right for this sound. As they come, we decide on a case-by-case basis. But there again, why would it just keeps getting better, cooler, more interesting every time we do it. So why would we stop that?
So yeah, actually, because of the I guess long distance relationship, we haven't really planned out a full tour for Cyber-Mashaka. However, the times that we have performed it live and will continue to perform it live, it has been mostly just Khylie and I on stage. We did have a couple musicians join us for the Lincoln Center show. We're having a wonderful Oaxacan tuba and trombone player joining us live on stage for the Festival ℍ𝕚𝕡 ℍ𝕚𝖓 in Sonora in its 40th edition. We have 2 dancers coming up on stage with us for that as well, for the first time. So, I feel like we're not afraid to have a different show every single time. And I think the cool part about this is that, Khylie works with the samplers and the bass and a little hand percussion, also doing backing vocals and harmonies. I play the guitar, some keyboards. Khylie did also some keyboards, bringing on the accordion on stage for the first time. And then I have a couple drums in front of me. So it's a very dynamic show, there's even a part for Playa where the claves and shakers come on, and I grab claves and Khylie has a shaker. So I think it's the epitome of, if not a 1-person band, a 2-person band. That just sort of mutates and it's so interesting to watch, I think. I mean, in our experience, as soon as people get to the venue and they see the setup, they're very intrigued because it's like a guitar, a keyboard, a couple drums, and then the sampler, the bass, and hand percussion, what is going to happen, And so each song has its own needs. And we just sort of are not afraid to be like, I play guitar and I also play this and I also play that and I can sing and I can. So because we made the record by ourselves, kind of, obviously with the help of brass and stuff, but the conceptual part, we're not afraid to bring that live as well. And so we'll keep you posted on new surprises for the live version of Cyber-Mashaka.
Ok, ahora el disco está fuera, pero I have a question. The result of Cyber-Mashaka exceed your expectations, or it's like I really imagine that sound? Or
if you mean musically, I think that I think it met my expectations. I didn't know exactly what it was going to be, but I knew it was going to be this intense, this bumpy and spiky and sticky and interesting and varied, this much of a journey. I knew in my heart and soul that when we got to the end of this thing, we were going to have something we were really proud of. And I knew that because we worked incredibly hard to get here, and we sacrificed a lot, and we spent a lot of time and money and energy. You can't do that and care this much and feel this deeply and not end up with something amazing.
Renee?
I have to say the bar for expectation was set pretty high with the first track that we worked on, which was Fierro. And it's really funny because every time we rehearse it, it's just such a fun, the first time we rehearsed it for the New York shows, and I remember this perfectly, this past time in December. I was so tired. I'd just flown in the night before, and we said the setup is a bit lengthy because of all the things that we have to put together. And as soon as we started sort of doing the thing, it just gets in your blood, and you just get energized, and it's just we have so much fun too, because a lot of the things are over the top. Like I just really enjoy being like, right? Like it's so, and so I think that because we started with that track, it was obvious that it was going to be all the things that Khylie said. It was going to be, you know, fun, interesting, electric, just exciting, rough around the edges. You know, I'm always in, sort of, it's so interesting to me the first time that someone works on something really norteño, like not meaning Khylie, but meaning other people that I've collaborated with recently, because there's more stuff on the way. And I remember people being like, oh my God, that brass, like of the banda sinaloense, just being like so shocked by the sonorities and the roughness of the genre and of the people playing the genre too, you know, like not being timid, not being tamed. I feel like música norteña, a lot of people, either you love it or you hate it. I think it's that kind of thing, you know? And so I think we were not afraid to go there with Cyber-Mashaka, you know? We were like, it's fine, you know? Like sometimes the vocals are rough, it's fine. Sometimes, I mean, the bass is certainly growly and thick and all of it, you know? The beats that are so distorted sometimes, and sometimes just like more subtle, and sometimes even going against the grain of the rest of the track, you know, that's a touch that Khylie brought into the mix. And so I think that it's something to allow yourself to be surprised. I think Cyber-Mashaka definitely, I would say, exceeded my expectations in the way that there's surprises that you never saw coming. I think every time we sent each other feedback or a new version of the song, there was like different things, you know, like for example, Khylie ended up singing in ℍ𝕚𝖓𝖊𝖊 doing harmonies for that, and like just every single track kept giving us surprises that were very pleasant, and so I think if you come at it with an open mind, there's no way that you pues que te vayas a decepcionar. O sea, como que es un álbum que sí te sorprende, pero tampoco creo que es para personas como conservadoras. Creo que es un álbum para personas zafadas como nosotros.
Yo creo que la música actualmente es un arcoíris, es muchas cosas. A mí me gustaría saber, para ti, René, para Khylie, de esta fusión de géneros, de conocimiento, ¿cuál es el mejor aprendizaje que tuviste about the EDM world, about the bass world from Khylie? That was the best learned to you for Kylie's world, and the same question for you, Khylie, about the René's world and sounds.
Yo creo que la confianza en el talento de ℍ𝕚𝖡, en dejarte sorprender, eso mismo que hablaba, ¿no? O sea, tienes una visión de hacia dónde quieres llevar esto, pero también sabes que ahora estás trabajando de manera colaborativa y que esa riqueza musical que tiene ℍ𝕚𝖡 va a llevar a la rola a un mejor lugar, no matter what. It's going to be more authentic to the fusion of both people. El momento en el que se le empieza a meter mano. Muchas veces cuando tienes un demo sentado en tu compu por X tiempo, como fue mi caso que lleva 2 años un demo, ¿no? Verlo ir hacia un nuevo lugar puede ser un poquito como scary porque no sabes hacia dónde va, ¿no? Me acuerdo muy bien de la canción No Soy de Nadie, que es una canción que llevaba, como te digo, un par de años en su versión de demo, y cuando se lo mandé a Khylie empezó a moverle partes, ¿no? Como decir, aquí creo que debería llevar una parte musical, aquí creo que la. Y para mí fue difícil y le dije, aguanta. Déjame, ¿qué opinas? Le digo, aguanta, déjame procesar lo que me estás cambiando la jugada de un día para otro. Y de repente, conforme más lo fui escuchando, sentía que ya mi interpretación del demo no le quedaba. Entonces le dije, me gusta tu arreglo, pero no me gusta con la voz que tenía. Déjame la vuelvo a cantar, ¿no? Y cuando la volví a cantar, la hice en lo que se convirtió ahora, que es más sutil, un poco más sensual, todavía descaradilla, pero como y liberada, pero más sutil, que no se me da tanto a mí. Yo soy un poquito más ruda. Siento que en ese sentido Khylie trajo la sutileza y la feminidad más, digamos. Y yo dije, bueno, no importa, la volvemos a cantar. Y fue cuando fue... como que la voz fue más suave, ¿no? Entonces, esa sorpresa de decir las cosas como las concibes en tu mente no tiene que necesariamente terminar siendo así el resultado final. Déjate llevar por la personalidad y la voz de la otra persona, ¿no? And that's how music becomes what it becomes, you know, like for me, I think it's trust. My biggest takeaway, you know. I knew obviously from the get-go that Khylie is a great musician, that Khylie is very creative, that Khylie is a great person, that Khylie and I had a lot to bring to the table for each other. But I think the trusting the process is probably the biggest takeaway for me.
Khylie.
Wow. Yeah. Boy, that beautifully said. ℍ𝕚𝕚. Trust. I think I've ever experienced a collaboration felt quite so natural and instructive, and so I guess I would say that I learned trust as well. There was something else that really sort of rocked me to my core. I'm these days I'm a producer, composer, but I started my life off for many decades as a bass player. I went to school for music for bass specifically, and as a bass player, it's always been my job to feel the groove in a certain way and to help define it for the band. You know, along with a drummer when there is one. And so I got, you get over the years very used to having it your way, and being the one kind of driving the train from behind. This process of working with Renee and living up to my responsibilities as a co-producer on this record, and understanding the musicality that Renee brought to the table forced me to redefine what groove was and could be. It forced me to learn a whole new way of understanding how to move my body and how to make myself dance along when the music was coming out of the speakers, and to understand. I set about on this journey of understanding where Renee was coming from rhythmically, and it completely changed the foundation of my soul. And how I learned to understand rhythm and dance and percussion and where the groove lives in a song, and I am forever changed. And again, as a sort of a lifelong dyed-in-the-wool bass player, I gotta say, it rocked me to my core in the most wonderful way.
So nice, and that's so beautiful. Khylie, Renee, it's like it's the same things that I felt when I hear this record. Sadly, I'm gonna make the final question for you, and maybe it's difficult, I don't know, but if you can define in one word Cyber-Mashaka, what's that word is, Renee and Khylie?
Pietro.
Love.
Oh, nice. Nice. It's a great mix too. Khylie, Renee, thank you so much for this interview. I really enjoyed, because when I received the message from Renee that, hey, I have a new album. Actually, I heard the songs because I saw you in the videos, and I'm so happy for you. Thank you so much for sending this message. I think that it's important for the world, for the community, for the human being. It's important that exist musicians and artists like you. Thank you so much for release this record.
That's absolutely amazing of you to say. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening and for supporting us and for giving us time today. Lovely to speak with you.
Renee, tú sabes que aquí siempre es tu casa.
Uli, muchas gracias a Latin Nation, a Equal Music, por abrirnos este espacio. Muy contentos de celebrar con ustedes nuestro lanzamiento Cyber-Mashaka, recién salidito, recién ahí, siendo escuchado por el mundo. Invitamos aquí a también la audiencia, ¿verdad?, a que nos siga en las redes sociales, @Renee Goust y @Khylie Rylo. En todas las redes sociales estamos así, y métanse a su distribuidora de música favorita a escuchar Cyber-Mashaka. Son 29 minutos más o menos de música que les va a sorprender, que les va a conectar a toda la comunidad queer, las personas que les importan también los derechos humanos. Les invitamos a escucharnos y a compartir nuestro trabajo, y eternamente agradecida siempre contigo, Uli, por abrirnos este espacio.
Siempre tendrás un espacio aquí, y permíteme sumar algo. Creo que es un disco universal. Sí, comunidad queer, todas, todes, we need to hear this record. But like I said before, it's a record for the humanity. It's a record for everyone, you know? Thank you so much. Y por cierto, tendremos el estreno de Ya Tienes Mi Número en Equal Music Latin Nation. Yo soy Ulises Sanner y continuamos. No se pierdan Cyber-Mashaka, este gran álbum. Khylie Rylo, Renee Goust. Thank you so much.
Sí, gracias.
Gracias, Uli.
Tienes mi número, ya tienes mi handle. Para el descontrol solo llámale a tu vendor. Soy como en Las Vegas, lo que pase aquí se queda. Eso sí, que cada quien se fije lo que apuesta.